So this whole special election that Governor Gavin Newsom just sent out the ballots for, the Prop 50, where he would be allowed to redistrict California so that it would favor Democrats, is a voter suppression tactic. And I think it's weird. I think it just mainly irritates me, not that it's a Democrat doing it or a Republican doing it. I think what irritates me is the fact that it could be done so quickly in response, because there are so many different issues in California that are so necessary to attack. And the one he goes after immediately is voter suppression. So like in another video where I talked about the fact that it's interesting that things that seem to be very important for a politician, they can get done immediately. Everything else needs signatures and licenses and anything you could imagine, just so everybody gets their beak wet and makes money off of it. But something like this, where tax dollars are at stake, voters are at stake, power is at stake, it can be done immediately. I mean, in the obvious out front context of this is voter suppression, because California already is pretty much majority Democrat. And this is just going to stomp out the Republican voters more from having any sort of say in any legislation that happens here in California. The other thing that's really interesting is the argument behind what Texas did, the whole gerrymandering issue. It's been done before. If you look at historically the context of gerrymandering, Democrats have been doing it back into the 60s and I believe the 70s for sure. And there were a lot of laws that came out against gerrymandering because of what the Democrats were doing. So again, what Texas did isn't new. What Governor Gavin Newsom is doing right now isn't new. But it's just weird that the whole argument seems to be like that Texas did this spontaneously. And the biggest issue here is that in 2010, the California citizens voted on this subject of gerrymandering, of redistricting. And the funny thing about it is that the voters of California said that redistricting should be in the hands of the citizens, not in the hands of the politicians. Again, my whole issue, my whole gripe that grabbed my attention right away is how fast Governor Gavin Newsom reacted and got a ballot measure that we could all vote on. When we have so many issues here in California that it's ridiculous. We have homelessness. Nobody's fixed that, not even close, but a lot of money's gone to it. We have the housing crisis. People can't afford housing. We have fuel and energy crises. Nobody's dealing with that. Food prices are skyrocketing. And again, sure, you can say, yeah, let's blame it on Trump's administration. Fine. But at the end of the day, why is all of that way more expensive here in California than any of the other states? Why? We're not landlocked. We have more than we could imagine here in resources. We have the coast where we can bring in oil, where we drill oil, where we can refine oil, yet we pay so much. We're just being milked and manipulated. All of this is a psyop. I really do believe that all of this at the end of the day is a psyop. So me and you can argue and nothing ever gets done unless there's something important like this whole redistricting, gerrymandering issue. The reason I wanted to do another video on this topic is I just got my own ballot. And the really interesting part is which way you vote can literally be seen through the little holes that are in the envelope of the ballot. And what's interesting is when you vote no, that can be easily seen without really having to move the letter that's within the envelope over. And that's kind of an issue, right? Because then the integrity of this whole voting campaign for Prop 50 is in question. Because if you can easily see when people vote no, and you're the governor and you want people to vote yes on Prop 50, you can just maybe throw away the votes. Or maybe not count everything. I'm not saying this happens, but I'm saying you want the quality of your votes to hold a strong integrity. At the very least, if unqualified people can see the way a vote is going within the envelope, so many different things can open up to that vote not getting to the ballot. After all, there's human nature, right? And if you can see how a ballot is being voted without it getting into the hands of qualified people, this opens up the integrity of the election that is going on for Prop 50. Again, human nature. This can incentivize people to do something with this ballot if it doesn't reflect their views. And obviously, politics are a very high risk, high flammable issue in people's minds these days. And so they react very dramatically. And again, integrity comes into question when it comes to Prop 50. And again, at the end of the day, why can we get something like this done so fast when there's so many emergencies that California needs to address?